A lot of people that I've spoken to thought that I started capoeira classes after I got the role of the movie. I love the traditional arts, but in terms of street self-defense, it seems like one would be at a disadvantage if we weren't progressing and working with what is now, not what was then. We wouldn't have done a series if Brandon hadn't been so wonderful. And he said, Mark, and it was a great note, you have to make the kicks look like you actually want to hit me. They have to look like they're going to hit me or you want to hit me. So he comes out and he says, okay, not how I saw this going, but I like it.
Wow.
So he gave us the liberty to play differently. Right. You know why I'm a failed monk? Here we go. I'm just going to say it.
Yes.
Because I knew I liked them, but I liked them way too much.
So Kung Fu Chronicles, there are special episodes and then there are very special episodes. I'm going to consider this one a very special one because today I've got with me someone who is amazingly proficient in the martial arts, but he's also an actor. He's also a TV personality. He's also so much more. You guys are going to recognize him. It's the Iron Chef himself, Mr. Master Mark Dacascos. How are you, sir?
Quasi! Thank you for having me. I appreciate you very, very much.
No, thank you for doing this. Oh my gosh. I got to mention too, a quick shout out to our mutual friend, Mr. Brett Chan. He actually linked this up when you did the Warrior season.
Amazing.
Such a good guy. He's linked me up with so many people from the Warrior cast. So we talked to so many of you guys and you included. So I appreciate him, of course. And really quickly, I saw that you were at Master Eric Lee's party with Cynthia Rothrock, right? Didn't I say
yes.
Okay. How did that go?
He turned 79 years old.
That's amazing.
Still looks great. He had a lion dance in his party. I mean, Cynthia Rothrock, Don Wilson. It was full of fantastic talent and great hearts there.
Yeah, all great people. I've actually been lucky enough to talk to Cynthia and Don Wilson, so they've been on the show as well. So it's great to now have you included in this pack. So let me get it started off right away. Talking about your martial arts upbringing. I know that your dad famously created the system, but can you talk to me a little bit about what age you started training and all of that? And I know your mom's super famous in the martial arts, so Give us all the rundown.
Okay, so my father's style is called Hop Kendo in Cantonese. That's in Cantonese, and translated into English, it means combination fist art style. And basically, from what my father says and what he's taught us, it's basically you use whatever works in a self-defense situation. So our primary goal in Hop Kendo is self-defense on the street. But of course, he also very much focuses on the respect and honor, humility. So it's mind, body, spirit. And then we use sport martial arts as a vehicle to get there.
Okay.
Yeah. And to answer your question about when I started, I have a photograph of myself when I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
I'm in a little outfit. And I don't know if I knew what I was doing or not.
Okay.
But they have me supposedly kicking and punching at 4. And then my brother and I, we entered because our mom and dad wanted us to enter
Yes.
a mixed martial arts tournament at the age of 6 or 7, something like that.
Wow. So you've been doing a very long time. Okay.
Very long time. Yes.
Not to overage you, I get it. But
I
started at a young age. I actually started martial arts when I was actually in my teens, so I didn't get that whole super young treatment. But would your dad qualify it more? I don't even know if it makes sense, because since he created the system, do you think it's more closer to like a northern style or a southern style, or would he even classify?
Well, we. It's a combination, really. I think my father, it evolved because his, he had studied judo and boxing.
Yes.
And then got into Kaju Kempo.
Nice.
And from Kaju Kempo, started finding his own way and evolving, and what he thought worked, or what worked for him, and his way of teaching, and it evolved into Hop Kendo. And so it's really a combination, and it's ever evolving.
Okay.
I mean, I would argue that the Hop Kendo he teaches now has evolved and progressed from what I was learning when I was a teenager, which I love, because, you think about this, the world is changing. And think about how popular UFC is, and everybody's heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai and all these arts. So to me, it would be, I love the traditional arts, but in terms of street self-defense, it seems like you would be at a disadvantage, or one would be at a disadvantage, if we weren't progressing and working with what is now, not what was then.
Right. No, absolutely. I totally agree. And is your dad still teaching?
He's still teaching. My dad is still teaching.
Awesome.
My mother, my stepmother, she's not my biological mother, but she raised me, Lilia Bernal Dacascos.
Lilia Bernal, yes.
Not only, Sifu Kwasi.
Yes, sir. Now.
Not only is she still teaching, my mother, Simo Malia, is teaching water aerobics. She still has abs.
That's
and
crazy.
She still can do everything she teaches.
That's amazing.
So, I have no excuse for not training, and if I don't train, I just have to say that I'm lazy, because I've had my father, and especially my mother, in terms of fitness, be the standard.
Right.
Yeah.
And not to harp on it too long, but I remember even your dad. I remember seeing your mom on covers of magazines, but also your dad. I remember your dad fought some of the greats like Benny Urquidez and Cecil Peoples and all those guys.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, he absolutely did.
Steve Muhammad, who I actually got to talk to. So those guys, right? Yeah.
Yes. And I love that, because there's back in years ago when I was growing up, when I look at Black Belt magazine, which is now owned by the really cool George Chung.
Yes.
Black Belt magazine, But when I look at Black Belt magazine or Inside Kung Fu, I was so proud, because my father and mother, not only did they do Kung Fu forms in competition, but they both fought. Yeah. They fought.
Big time.
And for whatever reason, I found them to be some of the few, if not the only that I remember, Kung Fu practitioners fighting when I was, in the tournaments I saw. So, they can back their stuff up. They're not just beautiful aesthetic movers and forms and weapons, but they actually fight. And again, I stress my father's, primary focus in teaching his martial art was self-defense. And again, I stress not just of the body, but of the mind and the spirit and the heart. Respect and humility was expected. Was expected. And arrogance, get out of a school.
I was going to say,
be open to learn, but you don't come in our Kung Fu school cursing or spitting or stinky or arrogant. No, let that out. If you're that way, you drop it before you enter.
Yes,
or else, because, we don't want. The thing is, you just don't want people that are going to abuse the arts. And of course, we're all human. We're all human. We all make mistakes, and we've probably all abused the arts.
Yeah,
But you say, sorry, excuse me, forgive me, and be accountable to yourself. Be honest with yourself. But and of course, I saw. The thing is, I saw a lot of people come in with attitudes, myself included.
Yes, sir.
Because as a teenage boy, come on, who has more attitude?
Yeah, of course you got an ego.
You had attitudes. But thank goodness for martial arts.
Yes.
Because right when you think you're getting pretty good or too good for your britches, somebody shows you that you're not.
Yeah, right.
You're in place, you learn how to breathe, you learn humility, and you go, oh, there are a lot of people better than me in so many things. So
Always
just use them, right? Use the people that are great and have humility as inspiration to be like that.
Yes.
There's always a bigger fish.
That's so true. It's a great point you're bringing up. There's always a bigger fish, always someone better. My mentality was always be that empty cup. Because just to give you a little history, I studied Northern Eagle Claw for 20 plus years. So Northern system.
Beautiful art.
Yes, I love it. I loved it. And then I branched out and started doing some kickboxing, a little Muay Thai. And the last recent years, I've done Krav Maga. As I've gotten older, wanted to do some more practical stuff. But I've always had that mentality of come in as an empty cup and just, it doesn't matter that you have a black belt here, come in to learn and be adaptable, which you're basically saying the same thing. That's your dad's philosophy. So were you guys, you and your brother, were you involved, like, did you do, I assume so, like in the fighting scene on the fighting circuit when you did tournaments as well? Did you?
Yes, well, fortunately and unfortunately, yes, we entered our first tournament together.
Okay.
So my brother, my stepbrother, he's way bigger than me and stronger in every which way. But we're only 6 months. I'm only 6 months older than him.
Okay.
So our very first tournament, I can't remember if we were 6 or 7, but mom and dad wanted us both to go into our first tournament. So we're 6 or 7 years old,
right? And
this is in Denver, Colorado. Long line of kids, supposedly our age. Of course, Craig looked a lot older because he was bigger, Yes. But he was our age, so they said, okay, of course, Dad and Mom talked to him and said he is really Mark's age. He's 6 or 7 years old, whatever we were. Anyway, we both entered the same division, and because we're brothers, they put Craig at one end and myself at the other. And the idea was thinking, of course, and I'm giving this away now, of course, we'd never, win all of our matches. It's our first tournament.
Right.
My brother Craig won all of his matches.
Oh, wow.
I won all of my matches. So in the finals,
and then you had to fight each other.
We're fighting it. We're going into the ring, against each other. And now when I look back, I go, why did mom and dad let us fight? Why didn't they just say, okay, you bow out and Mark, you take it this time, and if it ever comes again, Craig, you take it, or Craig, or vice versa.
Right.
But they let us fight.
Let them fight.
Right.
And this is where it was a good thing and a bad thing. The advantage was that we both trained together, so we both have some basic skills, right?
Right.
The disadvantage is he's a lot bigger than me and stronger, and had a hell of a lot better kicks.
Cool.
So in the end, I know, and this is semi-contact point fighting, right?
Okay. So
in the end, I took the beating. I had bruises all over me, I am sure. I just remember round kicks just hitting me. But I somehow I eked out 1 point in front. So
you won. Okay.
I won the points, but he won the battle.
I got you. Yeah, you left with more bruises.
Yeah, I mean, you know how round kicks are. Even if you block them, it
still
hurts.
Get that impact. Yeah.
So I may have I may have snuck in a reverse punch point, but I guarantee you, he kicked the crap out of it.
Yeah, he's the one that got in more bruises.
In any case, that was our first experience. So.
Got it. So that's awesome. So upbringing's so cool, and you're immersed in the martial arts. But now I read, and this is true, you actually wanted to be a monk for a while. You thought, hey, I'm going to do the whole martial way thing as a lifestyle. How did that happen?
Probably. Come on, you've seen all the Shaolin monk movies, and you see Japanese Shaolin temple.
Yeah. Yes,
I'm not sure which movie it was for the initial thought, but Jet Li's Shaolin Temple surely
All that training.
Play into that.
Those training scenes. Yeah.
Yes, the training scenes. And I just thought, this is a guy, the monkhood. I love martial arts. So as a Shaolin monk, you get to be, you do the Shaolin, you do the martial arts. And then as a monk, it just felt like a good thing to do.
Okay.
To be, one, to be a good person, and two, to share whatever you can with other people. And I said, I love that.
Where did you go to train? Where did you go to China or?
So this is the thing. This was, I'm 61. So I was at the time when I moved to Taiwan, because I moved to Taiwan.
Okay.
I was 17 years old, and we at the time, my father, mother, and my brother Craig, and myself, we were then living in Hamburg, Germany, or Hamburg, Deutschland.
Okay.
So I lived way up in northern Germany, and I was going to a German gymnasium. I was going to a German school.
Okay.
And when I was 17, I somehow came up with the idea that I would be best suited for monkhood.
A monkhood, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I talked to my parents about it, and my father said he doesn't have any connections in China, and I didn't know, I don't know if they were letting anybody in at that time, what the relationship was with Europe or with America and China at that time. Right. But politically, he did have a connection in Taiwan.
Okay.
With a good friend over there. And so we made, and there was apparently a great Kung Fu teacher there. And of course, Chinese school, because of course I thought before I could enter a monastery, it would be good to speak the language.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so, it's a challenging one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did the best I could in between my schooling in Hamburg and my trip to Taiwan to pick up Chinese book, Mandarin, and start learning the basics in Mandarin. Right. And so at 17, I left Hamburg for Taipei, Taiwan, and enrolled into a Chinese language school, and was doing northern Shaolin.
Yes.
With Sifu Mo Hui Shen in Taipei. Okay. I would train with him 6 to 7 days a week, 7 in the morning until 11 a.m. And then on the weekends, we had night sessions.
Okay.
So I would do that nearly every day. And then Chinese school would be in the afternoon for 2 or 3 hours, Monday through Friday. And the idea was to get to a place where I was comfortable with Mandarin, and then start trying to look for a monastery or figure out, what the way worked. We get to China, or So that was that. And it's a long story, and it's a crazy story, Quasi.
Yes.
So I don't know if we want to stay there too long, but I'll just say that I am a failed monk. I have a wife and 3 kids. So I was obviously not monk material.
Yes.
I did stay there in Taipei, Taiwan for about 5.5 months, almost 6 months.
Okay, because I was going to ask you how long you were there. Okay.
Yeah. And may I tell you just a little bit about my situation?
Please tell me.
So this is back in 1981, right? So there were no cell phones and no internet, right? And so I would talk to my mom or dad once every 2 or 3 weeks, and my dad was mom and dad were still helping me out the first few months, sending me money to pay for rent and for food and for classes, and then after a few months, Dad said, "Okay, you want to stay there? You're on your own." So I started taking, at 17, I started teaching conversational English and conversational German to make money to pay for my rent. I had a roommate. And I wasn't making a lot of money. And to put this into context, my apartment building had an elevator. I lived on the 6th floor. So we had an elevator, but before I even moved in, it hadn't been working. So there's no, and we didn't have hot water. And I'm not even complaining, because I look back on it, and even when I was there, it was some of the happiest times. So this is not a complaint. This is just
no. I understand.
Okay.
Right.
And I didn't have a bed or anything. We had a tile floor, and my roommate gave me this really thin reed thatched mat, like that thick, to go over the floor, so it wasn't just tile. And I laid on that. And he also gave me a thin blanket, so I'm very appreciative of him. And then my pillow was made out of a t-shirt with my underwear and socks stuffed in. So that was it.
Okay.
That was my room.
Very basic living. Very basic living.
There were no windows in that room, right?
Wow.
And then also, I had two pictures, one of my mom and one of my dad, that was sort of scotch taped onto the cinder block walls. Right?
Wow.
That was that. But I had a vision of my life.
Right.
And I was training martial arts in Taiwan with this fantastic Kung Fu teacher. I was learning, learning my fourth language. I was living on my own at 17. I only ate every other day. Once Dad stopped sending money and I was on my own.
Oh, okay.
I ate every other day because after paying rent and Kung Fu school and Chinese school, I could either take the bus to places and not eat, or eat and walk. So I would just go back and forth.
Okay.
And Sifu Kwasi, I thrived. I thrived. I loved my life there. There were just some things that were missing, and some other issues that came up. Where I had to leave. I needed to leave. But it was a great time in my life.
So now you got to fast forward for me and tell me, okay, from there it's much different. You become an actor.
Yes, okay.
I know a little bit of the story, but yeah, tell me.
I'll do like a fast forward, okay?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm there for 5.5, 6 months. Loved it. I go back to Germany. And then by the time I'm 18 and a half, I make my way back to Hawaii, where I was born.
Yes.
I'm there for about 6 months. And then I go to San Francisco, where my mom is, where she has her own school, and she's teaching martial arts and aerobic defense. Yes. And this is the thing. So, you go to a German gymnasium, then you decide to be a monk. You don't finish the gymnasium. Had I stayed there, I would have gone to 13th grade, and then gone on to university. And like my brother, so I have two brothers. My other brother went to gymnasium and he stayed there, and went off to be an aerospace engineer. So from Taiwan, I go to Germany. I'm there for 6 months or so, and then I make my way back to Hawaii, not knowing what I'm going to do, because I didn't finish gymnasium and go to university in Germany. Okay. I'm a failed monk. And
but 5 months is a while.
You know why? You know why I'm a failed monk? Here we go. I'm just going to say it.
Yes.
Because I knew I liked them, but I liked them way too much. I like girls.
Right. Okay. And that's natural.
That's it. That's pretty much it.
Right.
I mean, I'm like, I could deal with everything else, but girls are cool.
Women, you like women.
And that's why I also commend people that are like, especially Catholic priests. I'm like, hey, more power to you. I couldn't do it. I was like, I love.
That's a whole nother podcast
thing, but at the same,
you know that, right?
Right. Absolutely, but at the same time, it's like, listen, I couldn't live without my fiance. I need, that. Yeah, exactly. So I get it. I understand.
So I'm in San Francisco, and my mom, is trying to figure out, well, what do you want to do? And I said, Mom, I don't know. I love to write, but I really wanted to be a monk. And she goes, okay, that didn't work out. So let's, get you into community college or university, and then maybe figure out some things, But unbeknownst to me, I had no idea that it's very costly in America. For all
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Because, I don't want to, break it up with politics, but, everything when I was going to school, my whole track, 13th grade and university, would have all been paid for, like my brothers.
Right.
But for here, it was like, okay, I gotta.
It's different.
It's a different culture. It's a different sensibility. I'm living here now. I gotta just figure it out. So anyway, I'm in San Francisco, and I'm thinking about going to community college or something. Mm-hmm. I'm also teaching martial arts for my mom in between, trying to figure out which direction I'm going to go. And I walk down the street with my girlfriend.
Yep.
To Chinatown to get some nice lunch, and two guys stopped me, and they said, "Hey, do you want to audition for a movie?" And I said, "No, sir, but thank you."
Wow, turned him down.
And he said, "Why?" And I said, I'm not an actor. And he says, "You don't want to try?" And it seemed kind of absurd to me, because I know how long it takes to be just an okay martial artist.
Right.
It takes years.
Years.
So how could I be so arrogant to think that I can go audition for some profession I know nothing about? I'd never taken drama classes, you know, and and when I was growing up, you know, nobody I knew wanted to be a celebrity or famous. Nobody wants to do that, you know. So that's not my deal. I loved Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Jet Li in movies. Of course.
I was going to ask you if you liked those movies growing up.
Yeah,
okay,
but that wasn't my world to say I want to be like that. I love these guys. I mean, in training, I want to be like that, but as a profession, it never crossed my mind.
Got it.
So he said, "Well, listen, if you change your mind, you know, give us a call." And I can't remember if it was a slip of paper or a card, but I said, "Okay, thank you. I appreciate it." And when I went on with my day, later on in the afternoon, I talked to my mom and I said, "Hey, these guys, you know, offered me a chance to audition." And she goes, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Why not? I'm not an actor." She goes, "So?" She goes, "You're not a monk either. That didn't go out so well. And now you know what you're going to do. Life is a big roller coaster. Why don't you just try?"
Let's try.
And I went, "Okay." So thanks to Mom, I auditioned. And 3 days later, I got a phone call and I got the part.
Hey, man, you got a job.
That's so crazy. That's an amazing story, though. I got to tell you, the first movie I saw you in, I was only 20, but Only the Strong comes out. I work at this movie theater, just to let you know, and speaking of university, I went to USC. So yes, the university in the States are just, and it's crazy now. So fast forward, my fiance's daughter is now going to USC.
Oh, fantastic.
30 years later. But you can imagine the price from then to now has even skyrocketed. So
we have some friends.
It's insane. But I say that to say, at the time I was working during school and I worked at a movie theater at the time. And so this movie, Only the Strong, comes out and I had just started martial art training then. I was only 20. This movie comes out. I had no idea what capoeira was. And I just was, I was wowed when it came on the screen. So talk to me a little bit about this casting in this movie. How does this come about? In fact, I'm going to play, if you don't mind, just a little bit of the trailer I have here.
A general description. Anybody? How about I naturally select to walk out of this boring classroom?
The kids of Lincoln High had no discipline.
You must think I'm playing punk.
No respect.
Teach him a lesson, man!
No one to look up to.
You had a job you were supposed to do last night.
Right. So I'll fast forward a little through this so people can see some of the martial arts and stuff in here. But this movie, man, I have to tell you, such a great one. Tell me, again, about the process and what that was like, being cast it and all that.
Okay. Well, you know, a lot of people that I've spoken to think that or thought that I started capoeira classes after I got the role of the movie, and in fact, it's quite the opposite. I had heard about capoeira from one of my father's students, Sifu Bill Owens, who teaches up in Oakland, California, and I heard about capoeira from him when I was 16 years old, 16 or 17 years old. But never practiced, and he showed us some, and I thought it was amazing as well. But I never practiced until cut to I'm 27, I think. I'm 27. I had just finished doing my first lead bad guy role in a movie called American Samurai.
Okay.
I just came back from that, and I was, trying to figure out, how I go about this acting career and all these different things. Up until then, I had done some episodes on television, commercials. For almost 4 years, I played young Conan on the Conan show at Universal Studios. So I was in acting classes, making my way. And my good buddy, Sifu Earl White, he said, "Mark, you gotta go check out my my capoeira teacher. He's at the Santa Monica airport, Mr. Amen Santos. He's amazing. You gotta go." And Earl had been telling me about Mr. Amen for a couple of years. So finally, after American Samurai, I thought, I need something different. I need something to shake up my life. So this was, I think, October or November. I drive down to Santa Monica Airport. I open the door and I could already hear the berimbau and some singing and clapping going on, and it made me smile. Before I even got to the door, I was already smiling. And I walked in, and, you know, on the floor, you see these people flying through the air, and they're so happy and joyous. And I hear people singing, and it just lifted my spirit up, you know? Yes. And of course, I met Mr. Amen, and he had this big smile and cool dreads. And I joined class that day and started training and loving every bit of it. So that was October, November. And then come January, 3 months, October, November, 4 months later, I get the call from my reps, my manager, Catherine James, who tells me about this audition, this movie called Only the Strong, and they're going to feature this martial art, African Brazilian martial art called Capoeira. And I said, that's amazing, because I started taking classes 3 or 4 months ago. So
that's cool.
I met with Luis Esteban, the writer, and Sheldon Lettich, the writer-director.
Right.
For them, a real, back then they used the big cameras, and I did a real screen test on the 20th Century Fox lot.
Right.
Did a couple of scenes, did the capoeira, and then from there I got the role.
Very nice. So training while you were doing it, and filming the fight scenes, was it kind of like a learning curve for the other actors, or did they come in with that capoeira skill as well? Since capoeira is known.
The good thing is, once everybody was cast, everyone started training.
Okay.
And we also had a delay in production because of the unfortunate. Which hurricane was that down in Miami? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, was it? That was
Freeman?
the night.
Maybe
Andrew. Was that Andrew?
Maybe Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew. Yes. Okay.
Is it? I can't remember, but
I think so.
Fortunately, it was hard times down there after the hurricane, so our schedule got pushed back a couple of months, so we had extra time to train. So they weren't coming in completely cold, but some of them, it was only a few months of training. But none of us had a full year yet, myself included. I'd only started in October, November. And so we started shooting. Oh, wait, maybe I did have a full year, because I think we started shooting in October the following year. So I had a full year of training before.
Got it.
Which is not a lot, but better than nothing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, better than nothing. So how long were you guys filming the movie? Do you remember? Like, how long did it take?
It was about 3 months, about 3-month process, a couple of weeks of prep before that. Mr. Amin and I flew down together, and I think we had 2 or 3 weeks before we started shooting down there.
Okay, and then I'm gonna just play a little bit of this fight scene.
If you win,
that final fight scene. This is so cool.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
I know it's been a minute, right? Since you've seen it.
Man. We did this movie 33 years ago.
I know, the time flies. Like I said, 30 years ago, I'm watching this in the theater and just in awe. So imagine my little 20-year-old butt, like, oh my goodness. I'm just like,
well, thank you for watching it.
But honestly, I'd never seen the art. I'd never seen capoeira until now. I was familiar with kung fu, karate, all that, but capoeira, no. So it was enlightening. And then, of course, I got nerdy about it and had to do research on it because I'd never seen this art. And I'm like, oh, this is a real, African art. And,
yeah, absolutely.
So really cool. So this fight scene, do you remember how long it took? Probably a couple weeks, maybe, or?
Oh no, maybe
a couple days. Couple days.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were moving pretty fast. We had a lot to film.
Right.
A lot of people, and yeah.
And the weapons play. Were you a weapons official? You said you did weapons as you studied growing up. Were you like a big weapons aficionado by then? Were you really?
I don't know. I like you. I study as much as I can and practice as much as I can.
Yes.
My parents taught me, so I played with eskrima sticks and broadsword and straight sword, staff. Basics. Intermediate.
And I meant to mention you have a gymnastics background also, which I know that definitely helped you out, right?
That definitely, between my parents' style of martial arts, gymnastics, dance classes, that all helped it, because in capoeira it requires everything.
Yes, using your whole body.
You're fighting upside down, from down below, from up above, straight on. It's a extremely dynamic art, and you sing, right? And there's rhythm, all while when you play the capoeira, you're smiling.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick your butt. You're gonna kick my butt. Whoa!
Right. This final kick was so cool. Oh my god! It felt like it was spinning in the air forever.
Slow-mo.
A little bit of edit in there, but was it like you're just doing the... Okay.
Yeah, you do the slow-mo and two different cuts of the same kick, and then it just looks like it's going on forever.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, like I said, really, really still love that movie. Every once in a while, that's one of those, I'll just pop it in just for the heck of it, right? Just because it's so cool to watch. Thank you for that. So as I move on in the movie career, you got so many, and I'm not going to go through them all, but the ones that were like meant a lot to me or that I watched you as a kid. This one, though, I'd be remiss not to bring up because I heard you met your wife on the set of Crying Freeman, right?
Yes.
And admittedly, I've never watched this whole movie all the way through. So you got to tell me a little bit about the background on this one, getting cast in this, and I know it's a bit of like it's a different kind of story, right?
Completely different kind of story. Crying Freeman is based on the manga anime Crying Freeman.
Okay.
And it's about this artist who gets because in a situation, he gets caught up in the situation. And so this other organization decides that he could be good as a one-time hitman. So they hypnotize him, put him under a certain spell, give the code words, he clicks into fighter mode, and he goes in there to take out a person, but actually survives. And the organization says, hey, you know what? This guy's got some natural skills. We'll just train him and he'll be our guy. So through hypnosis, they control his body, but they don't control his emotions. Hence, Crying Freeman. His code name is Freeman, and he cries when he kills. Yes.
Got it.
And so Samuel Hadida, the late, great, wonderful, kind, eccentric Sammy Hadida, one of the producers of Only the Strong, was one of the producers for Crying Freeman.
Okay.
And so he introduced me initially to our director, Christophe Gans. And Christophe cast me in the part. And then Christophe had a huge casting sessions, big casting session with a bunch of different actresses. And Julie came in and rocked the audition. And I know that because when I went up for prep to Vancouver, he was telling me about this girl and he wanted me to see this because he's going to cast her. And I saw her audition. She was brilliant. And that's how Julie got the part, I got the part, and that's where we met.
Wow. And so you've been together ever since?
We've been together ever since. Three kids and 3 furry kids.
3 furry kids later. And your wife is no slouch. I had to look it up. She was in even like Nixon films that I've seen too. So she's been in some pretty big pics. You guys have done some pictures together, yeah?
She's a fabulous actress, and she worked a lot. She took herself out of it because wanted to raise our kids,
Yeah, no, and that's awesome. But it's such a great story because the Hollywood romances happen. They literally, it's almost like they start and then they stop. They start and then they stop. So you always wonder if that's such a good idea. But then there are those tales like you and your wife where it's like, okay, sometimes they do work out. So moving on here, I want to talk about a couple other things. Things that as I'm growing up, I would see. You were in the series The Crow. I love the movie. Yes. That's one of my favorite all-time movies. Of course, tragically, Brandon Lee passed away doing the movie, but still love the movie to this day. It's one of those where it's just a top 20 movie of mine. The actual show, though, I remember it used to come on like Saturdays on like Yeah, I live in LA, so whatever channel, maybe like 13 or whatever it was, and it would be some weird time at 2 p.m. But I would always catch it. I was like, I didn't know they had a series, and I was like, I watched a decent amount of that series. How did that come about? Yeah, because
Thank you.
You really look the part as well, and it's very reflective, I should kind of say, because not that you were trying to portray Brandon the way he portrayed the character, but it's the same character, Eric Draven. I think he did a good job continuing that legacy.
I appreciate that. Well, I too was a huge fan of Brandon Lee and his Crow, The Crow. And the comic book. I mean, James O'Barr's writing is so profound and tragic, and yet the story finishes. I find that it's still hopeful.
Yeah.
In spite of all of the tragedy. It's still hopeful.
Yeah.
And it's about love, right? It's about love.
Yeah.
So because Brandon was so fantastic as the Crow, built a huge audience worldwide, it warranted the series, and I was invited to audition for it.
Okay.
So I auditioned. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 scenes. And then got the call, that I was the part, and I, a lot of pressure because
I was gonna say, do you feel pressure with that role since it's so,
of course, because I myself was a fan of Brandon's Crow, right. So now to try to take that on, and you go, okay, well, I could, it would be ridiculous for me to try to play the Crow as I think Brandon would have. That would have been a dishonorable thing to do. Disservice and dishonorable to Brandon, and certainly a disservice to myself, So, for me, it's just take the story. It's all written in his beautiful words, James O'Barr's beautiful words. It's all there. So what is my interpretation of that? And that's how I best serve the story and the love. Brandon did his, and not Mark has to do his. But I'll just have to say that we wouldn't have done a series if Brandon hadn't been so wonderful.
Right. I feel like you made the character your own, to piggyback off what you were saying. So no problem there. Unfortunately, it only lasted a season, but I was a viewer. I enjoyed it. And actually, real quick, because it's always one of those things. It's like it can be an iffy thing working with the animals, and I know they're trained, but working with the crows and stuff. How was that? Is that kind of tricky, or?
Yeah, it is kind of tricky because you never know what they're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, but they're amazing, and they're so smart. And they see, of course they see everything. And I felt like, I felt like they were kind of reading my mind or sensing the senses are so heightened.
Right.
So it was a little tricky. So I just had to breathe with them, treat them with respect, Yeah.
But it would make the shot too when you'd be walking and then a crow would just fly on your shoulder. I think that's the coolest thing.
Well, we had the trainers that worked with them, and so we were a pretty tight crew. Casting crew.
Okay, so now we get to the movie that I gotta tell you, one of my all-time favorite movies, and I don't even. This is not even me blowing smoke. I probably watched this movie. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, thank you.
A couple times a year, and even if I don't watch the whole thing, and I know it's originally French, but I saw this movie. I moved to Florida for a year, and the movie came out in 2002. I think that you guys filmed it obviously a year plus before that. Yeah. But Brotherhood of the Wolf, Pack de Loups, such a great film. I think it's one of those underrated. A lot of people didn't see it because it's subtitled, so a lot of people don't like watching subtitles. Fun fact for me, when I watched it in the theater, because I actually watched it in the theater back in 2002, there were people we start watching the movie and you can gradually see people start getting up. Here's the thing, not because the movie's bad, but because they don't want to read the subtitles.
They don't want to read, right?
I hate subtitles.
And at that time in the movie theater, they didn't have it dubbed yet.
Right.
So I sat there the whole time loving this movie, just mesmerized by it. But
Thank you. Thank you for staying.
No, and this became one of my favorite. I've owned this movie in like so many different mediums, like with DVD, Blu-ray, and this fun fact that's came out in 4K finally, but it only came out in a French version. I went and bought it anyway because I've watched it so much at this point that I already know the damn movie by heart. So I know most of the lines. I don't even need the subtitles anymore. But it just holds up. The martial arts is so good in it. The choreography is amazing. The cinematography is beautiful. So talk to me a little bit about, just filming this movie. You guys filmed, I know, in Europe and London and France, right?
Yes.
So talk to me. I'll pop a little bit of this up so we can see it too. Okay. So people can see if they've never seen this movie. This is one of the awesome fights you guys do. Yeah. See it. So talk to me a little bit about the choreography and the filming and all that.
Okay. Well, little trivia. So let's see. Samuel Adida, our producer of Only the Strong, also produced Crying Freeman with Christophe Gans directing.
Christophe Gans directed this, right?
And Christophe Gans directed this, and Samuel Adida also produced it with a couple of other producers and Canal Plus.
Okay.
We shot, I think, the whole show. I was in France and 2 weeks in England for 5.5 months.
Okay.
Of course, Vincent Cassel, Samuel Le Bihan, Monica Bellucci.
Yes.
Great, wonderful Emily Decan.
Yes, I know. She just passed away. I saw that.
Yes. So they were our lead cast.
Yep.
Another thing, did you see, well, my guess is you've seen at least one John Wick movie?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. With you.
Dan Lauston, the director of photography for Brotherhood of the Wolf, did John Wick 2, 3, and I believe 4 as well. So Dan Lauston is our cinematographer.
Okay.
And then we had Philip Kwok.
Okay, yes. I know Philip Kwok is, of course.
Right. The great choreographer. In the Hong Kong cinema and martial arts movies, yes. So he did the choreography. And it was interesting because, Christophe wanted Hong Kong style fighting, but my character is Mohawk, right?
Right.
So I have to figure out how to take that sensibility and bring in the Native American feel. So instead of locking out the legs for pretty kicks, I would keep them slightly bent, or just make it more, instead of a whack, maybe just whatever, however the hands move, you just go.
It wasn't a stylized, yes.
Yeah, it wasn't stylized, and because a lot of the scenes, all but one day that I was there, all but one day was on location. So we never had studio. So, the opening fight scene, it's on the side of a mountain. It was really on the side of a mountain in the Pyrenees Mountains. And if it wasn't raining naturally, we had big rain machines dropping rain on us.
I'm so glad you brought this up. So not to interrupt you, sorry. I just want to bring this up because I have the scene.
Yeah, right here.
And I love this scene. This is the opening of the movie, and you guys, and there's so much rain, so I know they've got to have a rain machine as well because the film Rain.
Yes, plural, rain machines.
Yes, rain machines, plural. But like you're saying, it's a different kind of style because it's not straight kung fu or something that you recognize, but it's a like a modification of that or variation.
Yeah, and I've had talks about this, and people go, "Oh, well, how do you know they kicked and this and that?" Well, factually, I'll never know if they kicked or not, but it would make sense that if you have a kick, if you have legs, and it makes sense to kick, then you kick.
Right.
So in my mind, it was totally justifiable. And this is the thing: when you're working with, I have underneath this trench coat, which was soaked with water, so that adds a good 10, 15 pounds. I have a wetsuit on, a surfing wetsuit underneath that.
God.
Right? Then you have leather boots that are filled with water, squash the whole time. And then the hat is with water. So you're just wet and you're cold and you're at an angle in mud. So, you know, just making the moves safe for everybody and aesthetic as possible within the character's frame, you know, takes it away from being, to me, kung fu-y.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
and even just the background, the fact that you're filming there on location, it's so authentic, and people are falling in the mud, and it's got that. It's just, to me, the cinematography is just, it's so beautiful. It's
Dan Lauston, you know, and look at the wardrobe. The wardrobe too, you know, kind of helps you find the character and just the movement, the sensibility of the movement, because the clothes, you have to move differently.
It's so period. I added this because I wanted you to talk a little bit as I end close talk about this movie. The scene where you guys, because there's a mixture, a little bit of CGI, not a whole bunch, but the CGI with the actual beast. When you guys are filming this whole scene, how is that direction? Because I know the director's got to kind of tell you, okay, in this part now the monster's chasing you or whatever. Like, how does that all kind of go? Yeah.
So, for my part, I only had a little bit with the beast, you know, toward the end when I see it, I'm running a little bit, but it was just, you know, we didn't have it in real life. It was just all eye lines, playing all the eye lines. That's what it was at that time. Nothing like, practical.
No, and
this, for my part.
Right, and this scene where you're basically just avoiding the trap that you set for the wolf is like, it's so cool. It's like, I've always loved this right here.
So that thing though was practical. That was practical, and it was spongy, and I had to make sure that timing wise, I actually landed and didn't bounce because there's a little bit of mat under there.
I was going to ask, was there a mat? Okay.
Yeah, there's a little bit of mat and tons of dirt and all that, and I had to make sure that it's really hard to try to land and not bounce, you know, because that thing was coming down and it was like hard styrofoam, but the base, the tree trunk, I can't remember, but it was still heavy enough to hurt.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So
you hit that mark. And
so you see the timing right there. That was for real.
Yeah, no, you nailed it, brother. You nailed it. It's so, again, it just holds up. It's one of my favorites, as you know. I could talk about this for hours just alone on this. So maybe one day you'll allow me to come back and we can talk about this and just do commentary. I would love it. But anyway, I'll move on here. And a quick question, because I heard also, or I think I read or saw you do another interview where you talked about actually some Shakespearean training that you have, right? Am I right about that?
Yes, now, you are.
And I bring this up because if you have that background where you actually, you know, like we're trained in the, you know, Shakespearean, like in like Shakespeare in the Park, that kind of stuff, it's got to make your acting in movies so much easier, right? Or does it? Or is it so different?
100%. It is different in that, you know, sometimes we'll you go to a movie and you're shooting, you know, every now and then, maybe a scene towards the end of the movie, and then the second or third day you jump back to the beginning of the movie. So that's very hard because it's, you know, it's not chronological. Whereas in the play, you get to feel the momentum of what you're doing, or if you're just doing a monologue or soliloquy, you have the beginning to end. You go all the way through it, and you have that current and flow of the text and the words. You know, you don't always have that luxury in doing scenes in movies. And that's why so many actors love doing plays when they're not working on shows, or at least being in workshops and working your craft. Because that's so much fun when you just get to go stand and deliver. You know, stand and deliver.
Yes, the classically trained actors are some of the best that I've seen. I mean, I know Denzel would talk about it a lot, and all these other guys that were like true thespians, and that's, you know, what they would do to hone their craft. So
and I didn't have the good fortune of meeting my teacher, Patsy Rodenberg, until I had already been working. But since I went into her first class, thanks to another great acting teacher, Larry Moss, who I was in a workshop with Larry Moss, and he said he had just taken a class with Patsy Rodenberg in New York. This is 23 years ago or so. He said, if any of you are really serious about your craft, you will get into a class with Patsy Rodenberg as soon as possible. And as soon as I could, I did, and have not stopped. I've been working with Patsy off and on for 23 years. And
Very nice.
a couple of years ago, I also did her teacher training. So I also teach her work, and I'm so happy and honored to be one of her students.
That's so cool, man. Okay, so as I wrap this up and get the last couple of points before we do a little bit of rapid fire stuff here. So yeah, I already spoiled it, but the Cradle to the Grave. Here's another movie. Like, I saw this in the movie theaters, and admittedly, it's not one of my favorites, but I do love the fact that it's you and Jet Li. Okay. You get to work with Jet Li. I got a quick question even before I play this. Since you loved the Shaolin Temple, when you were on set with Jet, were you able to tell him like, hey, I love this movie as inspiration? Or
that's a great question, and sadly, I don't believe I did. Because it was maybe because I was just so thrilled and nervous to be working with him, but man, he is so fast.
Yes.
And we shot that finale fight scene for maybe a week, and he made it look like he hurt me, but he never hurt me. He's so detailed. If he says, I'm going to hit you by like 3 inches here and 1 inch up, he'll do it. So fast, so specific.
Okay. Yeah, he knows so much, like martial arts wise. He's an inspiration to me too. Of course, I watched a ton of his movies. I've seen so many of his fights. His precision is just so amazing. Yes. You know, actually, who told me a really great story? I don't know if he probably shared this with you too. Brett Chan, when I talked to him, he talked about how I think they did choreography for him and Jason Statham in, what was that, the War movie? Are you familiar with that? There's a movie called War with the two of those guys in it. It's not like a great movie, really known. But anyway, he told me the choreography, they were doing it for Jet, and they were walking through a fight scene with them. And basically Jet just goes, okay, show me the scene. They do the scene. Then he's like, show me again. They do it again. And then they say Jet gets on the set and then works with the stunt guys, and he knows the fight choreography like that.
So they put this fight, it's like 184 beats. Most actors got to come in, they got to rehearse. He comes in, he's like, okay, let me see it. You guys do it once. He goes, okay, let me see it again. You guys do it twice. With the whole fight, everything. He's like, okay, I got it. He steps in, he gets the whole thing, and better. I'm like, holy crap! Like that's respect.
Just watching. He's very good.
Any other things you remember from doing this with him and the movie itself, or?
I remember, going over some of the choreography, and he said, Mark. And it was a great note. He says, the kicks, you have to make the kicks look like you actually want to hit me. They have to look like they're going to hit me, or you want to hit me, which is great, because I think, obviously I was so worried about the choreography. I wasn't feeling it. I was doing choreography, but not doing the fight. So just like with words, it's like, I think a fight scene is physical dialogue.
Yes.
And
it tells a story, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, he didn't want to just have nice choreography. He wanted a fight.
Right.
And this is the great thing for me, was that I got to work with Jet Li.
Yes.
Yuan, who did our choreography.
Yes.
Great team. But this disappointing and sad thing was that Jet, as far as I understand, had wanted our fight scene to be shown all the way through. And when I saw him in New York, well, I won't go through the exact, but
okay,
he was saddened by this cut.
The edit, okay.
The edit, because it intercut, and I understand the story points, but it broke the rhythm. It broke the rhythm. Just like if you were doing To Be or Not to Be, you to be or not to be. That is
right.
The question. What, and for Jet, and I share a sentiment.
Yes.
When you take a fight scene that's supposed to be the finale fight, and you break it up with other things, you may have other great things to look at over here, but you lose the flavor and the feel and the flow of the fight.
Right.
It's a sensibility, and it's like everybody thinks differently, but I side with Jet on this one.
Yeah.
I'd probably side with Jet on everything.
I'm with you on it. The fight itself is amazing. And by the way, if I remember right, some of the cuts were like to other scenes where it's like, do we really need to see that now? And by the way, I love Kelly Hu as well, and I'm still trying to get her on the show. And I know you co-starred with her in this. I love Gabrielle Union, but I didn't really believe that she could beat Kelly Hu in a real fight. So at least in that movie was like,
yeah.
I know it's Hollywood, but
artistic differences, you know what I mean? It's like,
right. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
but still,
it is what it is.
Yeah, still some really great fight scenes and well choreographed stuff. When you were doing this fight, last question on this, you had the fire all around you. So how tough is that filming? Because I'm imagining it's actually, is it practical with the flames around, or the thing?
All of that was practical. And it just made me think of, I just can't get away from leather and wetness and rain. You know, you just showed Brotherhood of the Wolf. We shot that in 2000. We shot this in 2002. So again, custom leather suit, drenched in water, and as Jet and I shooting from, evening shoot. It was 6 or 7 o'clock. We'd get woke up, and then we'd shoot all the way through until sunrise.
Wow.
And if the rain, if it wasn't wet enough when we were shooting, beforehand, if we had a break in between, they would just drench us. Or I'm pretty sure that I heard Jet say that he had a jacuzzi, and he would just go in the jacuzzi in between.
Got it.
I didn't do it, but I think he did. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So were you feeling the heat too around with the fire as you're fighting?
You feel a little bit of heat, but more so than anything, the shoes, the leather pants, the leather jacket, it's soaked. So it adds weight on and just movement, and it's uncomfortable. But I gotta tell you, I don't even remember feeling that because I was so jazzed and excited to be on set with Jet Li. So it didn't even matter. Yeah,
no. I could see that. Okay, so as I wrap it up, I'm going to talk a little bit about, well, of course, I got to talk Warrior, but even before that, you mentioned it already. John Wick 3 happens, and I'm a huge fan. It's funny you mentioned, obviously, I'm a Brett Chan fan, but I'm a fan of choreography. Chad Stahelski, The Matrix, till he gets to John Wick, and he does episode 1, episode 2, and then lo and behold, you're in episode 3 playing the main villain.
I have served. I will be of service.
So you got to break this down for me. How did this all happen? And yeah, please.
Well, it happened suddenly, disruptively, crazily. I was in New York. Let's see, and this is 2018. In 2018, I think it was January or February. I was working in a Shakespeare workshop with Patsy Rodenberg.
Oh, okay.
And Chad asked me to come in and meet with him. So I went in, and wonderfully, gratefully, he offered me a cameo that I would shoot sometime for John Wick 3, a cameo in John Wick 3, and I'd shoot it sometime in October. And I thought, wow, fantastic. This is great. A little bit of fighting, dialogue scene, great. I love the work. Love Keanu. So I'm excited. So cut to, I think it was beginning of June. And I hadn't heard from Chad in a while, and I was already thinking about. Now I wonder if that was just they changed course and different actor or different story or whatever, because I hadn't heard anything about going to wherever he was shooting at in October, so June, and then on a Sunday I get this text, and it's from Chad, and he said, "Hey, Dacascos, give me a call tomorrow." I'm like, "Well, okay, Chad, I'll give you a call tomorrow morning." I call him Monday morning. And I say, hi, how are you? Can I help you with anything? And he goes, I hope so. I said, great. Oh, what is he? He goes, things have changed. The original actor for lead villain is out, and Keanu and I want to invite you. Wow. And I said, I'll take it. He goes, read the script first. I said, Chad, this is John Wick 3. No need to read. I'll take it. He goes, I'm sending you the script to read first. So he sends me the script. I read it in 2 hours. I call him back. I said, I'd love to do it. He says, fantastic. Our people will make the deal happen. And then I said, by the way, and I'm in Los Angeles and he's in New York at the time. I said, when do you need me in New York? He goes, tonight.
Wow.
So, finish the deal. I get on a red eye.
Up on that red eye, right?
And then, of course, the plane is diverted to Boston because of fog, or bad weather or something like that. I end up getting there, later in the morning. I go from the airport straight to set. I see Chad. I say hello to Dan Louston, the incredible DOP. I meet Angelica Houston. I say, hello, Mr. Keanu Reeves. Wow. Thank you for having me. So I meet everybody there, and then I go straight to the doctor for my physical and all that stuff. Start doing some rehearsals of just what I feel comfortable with, and then finally go to the hotel. And that was on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, on Tuesday and Wednesday, I did wardrobe, and on Thursday, I'm shooting my first scene with Asia Kate Dillon and Lawrence Fishburne.
Wow. Okay.
So that's how it happened.
You tell me especially, number one, of course, I got to know, how is Keanu Reeves to work with? I know he's a workhorse. The guy is a beast, but you guys make these fight scenes look effortless.
Thank you. Keanu, to me, was everything, all the good things we hear about him. Gracious and kind and collaborative. And like you said, he works more than anybody, except maybe Chad. Those two, right, on the show, and always does it with grace and kindness.
Okay. And do you guys have how does it work with fight scenes, especially with Chad there too? Do you have room to ad lib a little bit, or are they kind of like, okay, figure out what you want to do here, or they kind of already have it?
Well, since I came in just 2 days before I started shooting, I'm reading the script. I'm trying to figure out my character. In addition, learning any choreography they may want to have at the in the finale fight. But trivia, the fight, the big fight, or the fight that we have. Let me see. In one of is it the warehouse? I wasn't supposed to have that segment of fight, and then Chad has the AD come to my trailer and say, bring Dacascos in. And I come in and he says, hey, I want to add some action right here. So,
okay, so on the spot.
On the spot. So, I work with the choreographers, and Chad says, this is what he wants. Give me something. So we put it together. He likes it, and then you shoot it right there. So it's like that. Or for the big finale fight, we've been rehearsing this big fight, and then when we get I walk in, for example, for this scene.
Yes.
The first day, Keanu's still on set. I come to set, and Keanu was just released because now we're going to do some of my close-ups and this and that. And then Chad, I see Chad call Keanu over, and I hear him say, you know what, I think I want to start your fight scene. And Keanu says, which fight scene? And Chad says, the finale fight scene. And Keanu's like, oh. so he's not released from work after working a good 6 or 7 hours already. He's staying there, and we started actually doing the finale fight scene that night.
Yes.
And a couple moves into it, I remember Chad saying, you know what, I want to change this. And so and Chad, being an incredible martial artist himself, he went over and he was working with one with stuntmen and said, I'd like to incorporate this move. And he did this jumping catch jiu-jitsu twisting move, and the guy went crazy, flew over, and Chad said, Keanu, can you do this? And Chad says, I don't know. Keanu says, I don't know. Let me try. So they put a mat down, and first try, Keanu did it flawlessly. Nice. So that was incorporated into the new choreography, that little bit that we were going to do minutes away. So we have a set structure, but from my experience, Chad likes to be flexible and have people that can go with him. Come up with an idea. There's a segment in there where I do 5 or 6 kicks, silhouetted by the big.
I think I have
6 kicks. Right there.
Here we go.
That wasn't even in there.
Okay.
And same thing. Chad releases everybody for lunch, and they says, "Stop! Wait! Everybody come back! It's just Dacascos." Yes, sir. He says, can you give me 5 or 6 kicks in the corner over there? I said, yes, sir. When? He goes, yeah, as soon as possible. I went, okay. so he gave me a minute. I figured out 5 or 6 kicks. I worked it out with Keanu's incredible stunt double. Although you can see this, gotta say real quick, if you see our faces, that's really us. Keanu and I, for the most part, did all but some of the like crashing through the glass and some of the, other than that, it's Keanu doing it and me doing it, you know. Nice. But anyway, for this, that little sequence right there, Chad said, you know, I want you to do some kicks. So I came up with some kicks, worked with the stunt double, and then I got it okayed by Chad. Went over to Keanu. We worked it. Keanu was okay with it, and then we shot it. So things just happened. That was right before lunch. Our lunch, which was at 3 or 4 in the morning or something.
Yeah, no. That's amazing. I mean, to me, it's one of my well, 4 came out, and I truly do like 4. 1 is still the classic, but this one I like for a few reasons. And we've talked, a little bit about our love of dogs, but this one, of course, I love the Halle Berry incorporation with the dogs too. So all of that just made this one extra special. And you being the villain, when you were working on the character, really quick, my last question on this for you. He's kind of like a quirky guy, right? He's like an admirer of John Wick, but he's like, was that like you thinking this is what I want the character to be, or what was your approach? So my approach, and I asked Chad when we were talking on the phone, I said, are you open to some ideas, or if I have a different take on it? And he says, absolutely, be very collaborative. So, I guess to put it in a nutshell, the scene where John Wick and Zero have alone time while we're waiting for the concierge.
I've been looking forward to meeting you for a long time. I'm a huge fan. John Wick.
Chad wanted us to have a rehearsal, and then before he gave us any notes or ideas, he just wanted us to do a rehearsal, do whatever we want, and then he'll take it from there. So on rehearsal, that's the part. I in my mind, I didn't change any dialogue. Where he says, when Zero says to John Wick, I'm a fan, right?
Yes.
I didn't change that, but there are degrees of fanhood, right?
Right.
And I thought, let's Shakespeare it. Let's bring up the stakes. Nice. Zero's not just a fan. He's a fanboy.
Yes.
Zero's world, John Wick is the man.
Right.
He is the man. And now, not only do I have the honor of being assigned to go after him, but I have alone time with a guy that, if he had a poster, I'd have a poster in the sushi room.
Right.
In the back locker, I would have the John Wick poster, right?
Right. Signed if you could, yeah.
Signed, yeah. So I thought this is the moment where you get to see Zero's innermost affections and love and his heart and a different dimension to him, So without mentioning anything to Keanu or Chad, because Chad gave us the liberty of just playing it the way we wanted to, I did what you did, what you see in that actual scene for rehearsal, and it was very uncomfortable because any normal person, if you have a character like John Wick sitting there, or played by Keanu Reeves, you would give him some space and sit over here.
Right.
But in Zero's mind, this is the one chance he has.
Right.
I think about sitting over here, but I think I need to be close to him and move, and not just by him. I need to touch him. So on rehearsal, I put my butt against Keanu's shoulder. It was great because in rehearsal, Keanu was trying to stay in the scene, but it was really funny. Right. Try not to laugh. And I'm trying to stay. Also, it's like, and I'm not. I don't even think it's funny because I'm putting myself in Zero's frame of mind. This is one chance to be with Wick and not have to kill each other, right? So I put my butt on his shoulder because that's what it was. My butt on his shoulder. So I pressed and I got to touch him, and then I slid my body all the way down him and sat so close I could feel him breathing. And it was really interesting because I'm also a fan of Keanu, right? So Zero is a fan of Wick, and Dacascos is a fan of Keanu Reeves. And here I am. So it's like, it just came naturally. So I'm like, oh, this is it. My heart's palpitating. This is great as a character, you know? But I could feel Keanu trying not to laugh.
Right.
And because I have the first line and I didn't move, I could also feel like I was thinking, he's laughing, but at some point he's going to punch me if I don't start my line. And right. I made the call just character-wise that I'm not going to say my line. I just want to take this moment and to stay with him. You know, wow. So it was really cool because Keanu stayed in character, not laughing. He looks and he's like, and then he moves, and I still don't move. And then he moves to the other chair. And then after he moves there, and this was not planned, we just did this in rehearsal. Then nice. I slide and we started. And so we finished the scene. Chad cuts on rehearsal, and Keanu's laughing, thinking, that's too funny. We can't do this. But he's loving what we did. And I'm going, okay, I hear Keanu, liking it, but Chad's coming out and he's not laughing, And I'm thinking, this is when I go home.
Oh no!
It was at this moment that he knew.
So he comes out and he says, "Okay, not how I saw this going, but I like it. Let's do it."
Wow!
And so he gave us the liberty to play it differently. Right. Chad gave us the liberty to play it differently. And Keanu was open to playing it differently, and we just went. So every time we worked, Chad said, play it the stereotypical way, right. And then play it, and then he'd give me some notes and play your crazy, and he'd have ideas, and then he got it, and he was like, yeah, do this, do that, and so we played so we had the safe route for the character, and then we had the little bit of crazy,
Right. Well, it gives the movie character, so I'm so glad you took that liberty. It really does, because, John Wick's a very straight-laced guy. It's just very monotone. I'm all about business. But your character comes in and livens things up, so it makes it's a nice...
Thank you, Quasi. And I have Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves to thank, because they opened it up. They could have just said, no, play it straight.
That's amazing.
They let me go, and they kept it, so...
See, that Shakespearean training goes in hand. Right? I got to talk Warrior with you, sir. I am a huge fan of the show, as you know. Like I said before, talked to Brett Chan, talked to Perry Young, got to talk to Jenny. So many cool people in that cast. You joined in season 3.
Season 3,
right?
yes.
Season 3. And your character's Lee Young's brother in arms, basically.
Yes.
And I'm not going to spoil this whole thing for people that haven't seen Warrior, but I'll show a little bit of this fight that you finally have. But because it's just so well done. But talk to me a little bit, about your casting here, how you got on the set of Warrior, when you got that call. And
I auditioned.
Okay.
I auditioned, and fortunately for me, I got the call.
Okay.
And so I went down to South Africa and got to work with the awesome Brett Chan and Johnny Yang.
Yes.
And of course, Joe Taslim.
Yeah, Joe Taslim, such an amazing martial artist.
Yes, he is.
This fight... I'm sorry to interrupt you.
And Diane Doan, she's so good.
Yes. Such
wonderful actress. Wonderful actress.
Well, I told Brett, and when I finally got to talk to him, I was like, Warrior's not just all about the action. The action's amazing, but the story is so, incredible.
Yes.
So the cast of characters, you guys are casted so well, and the story, it feels there's so much that's human about the story. It's not just about superheroistic martial arts stuff. It's that story. And the reason why you guys have this fight is the disagreement, the people that will view it. A lot happens, but, because you guys were friends, and these two characters were friends, and now you're fighting at the end. But yeah, that's what made the show very unique to me. So when you were working with the cast, how did that go for you? Like, as far as just like doing scenes and the collaboration?
Well, like you, I was a fan of the show before I auditioned for it. Mm-hmm. So I was already on the road, with the story. Okay. And, in the end, it's about people. You got to care. You got to care about the people, and you get inside their skin, and you feel their heart, and you have their thoughts. That's what I love about the acting, and whether you fight physically or just verbally, emotionally, there's always challenges with human dynamics, And that's what it's about, so we have to bring that, because you want them to not just watch the fight scenes, you want them to understand why we're fighting. And the writers did a brilliant job in giving us all good reasons to fight, life and death reasons to fight, as you know, in this particular scene. From my point of view, it was life or death, not just for me, but for a lot of people it was life or death for different reasons from his perspective. And then, the great thing is, and great writers do this, they give you all perspectives with good arguments to fight for what you want.
Right.
And so, you can see all three of our characters in that scene.
Yeah.
We all have valid reasons for why we think the way we do. And who's to say who's right? That's what's so beautiful.
Yeah. I can't say enough good stuff about the show. All in all, you guys knocked it out of the park. It's unfortunately been left in limbo. I asked Brett about the future of the show, and he said behind the scenes they're still trying Shannon Lee and all that. But it's kind of tough.
Shannon Lee, yes. So
I know people.
Bruce Lee,
Yeah, and I know people have gone on to different projects. But I hope and wish and pray that maybe one day they'll come and at least do a finale movie to kind of wrap up the story.
They could.
Okay, so last thing I'm going to do is I got rapid fire questions from my audience that'll finish things up here. I call them the 5 crucial questions for Kung Fu Masters. Am I good to ask them of you, sir?
Oh, well, I think if there's a debate or a question, it's because maybe a lot of Kung Fu guys don't fight competitively.
Right.
So, like I said, back when I was a teenager, the only Kung Fu guy that I knew that was on the national platform, national competition circuit, that was in the top 10 and a Kung Fu fighter was my dad. And my mom was the first woman on the cover of Black Belt magazine, and she was, as far as I know, the lone Kung Fu female fighter in the top 10. She was actually ranked number 1 for many years.
Yeah.
So I think it's just because a lot of Kung Fu guys don't fight. However, I do believe, and I may be wrong, but maybe you have to fact check me, but I do believe that Don Wilson didn't get the but he knocked out,
a lot of people.
So many people. And I believe one of his styles was actually Kung Fu.
Yes. And him and Cynthia Rothrock both did the same style as well. Yes.
Well, I suppose for me, yes. Especially at the beginning of one's career life into martial arts, because it's a fantastic way of understanding flow and rhythm and technique. It works your flexibility, agility, strength, stamina, all in a oneer. Now, of course, one could argue once you have that as a base, do you still need to continue it? Maybe not necessary, depending on which way you go with your martial arts. Is it performative? Is it competitive? Is it a certain lifestyle? So I think that's a yes and no. I love all of the Bruce Lee movies for different reasons, but if I had to choose one, it would be Enter the Dragon. And then my favorite 3 Kung Fu movies are Enter the Dragon, Jackie Chan's Snake and the Eagle's Shadow.
Yes.
And Jet Li's The Shaolin Temple. Yes, I've had to use my martial arts in actual altercations, and I'm glad I've had a martial arts training. My suggestion is that if you are a martial artist and you want to get into action and stunts, then try to, obviously, get your craft, work your craft to the highest level possible, and never stop training, and find a mentor, somebody who already does what you want to do, and learn from them. And then when it gets into, if you're a martial artist and you want to get into acting, the same thing. Get into acting classes, find mentors, learn as much about acting as you possibly can, and then you have to audition. The great thing about martial arts is I feel it helps you get into your body. You have presence, you have breath work, but putting it on screen as a fighter on screen, there's a different art to it. There's an art to it, so you have to learn that. And then obviously in acting, instead of punching and kicking, you're speaking and emoting in different ways. So you have to learn that as well. But just know that if you want to be good, it's going to take time. We should not forget that the original meaning of Kung Fu was skill attained through hard work and long time.
Yes, sir.
So just be patient with yourself and just learn. Breathe, stay humble, stay curious. There you go. That's it.
Very nice. Okay, so as I finally wrap it up, thank you so much, sir. Any new projects we should be on the lookout for you on the horizon?
Yes, a couple of projects that I can't quite yet talk about, but okay, one that has been wrapped and it's just working on which way it's going to go with distribution is the last Jason David Frank project called Legend of the White Dragon.
Okay.
And that's already wrapped and it's locked. Everything's ready to go. So they're just figuring out which platform it's going to be shown on.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what platform or they don't know yet?
I do not know yet. They're still figuring it out.
Okay. I will definitely be looking out for that. I want to thank you so much for your time today. This was just a pleasure. Oh my God. I could talk to you forever. You're so,
yeah. Thank you, Sifu Kwazi.
No, honestly, you just got an amazing energy. And I figured even just us like talking through email, you just have that great energy. And I had a feeling.
Well, thank you. So do you. So do you.
I appreciate you.
Kind and curious.
And I hope we get to meet in person one day and speak some more and just like even just sit down and just have a meal or whatever. But yeah.
I would love that. We're in touch now, so there you go.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Mark Dacascos, what a great discussion. And I'm going to tell you, that really was worth the time to make this happen. As you can imagine, there were a lot of moving parts to get this thing going, both with scheduling. Obviously, Mark's a very busy guy and just, getting in sync. But I'm so honored that he took the time to do this for me because after all, I'm just an ordinary guy that happens to love martial arts, specifically Kung Fu, as you guys do. So, of course, thanks for rocking with me. And I really hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments if you learned something specific from Mark, maybe about his martial art that his dad developed. I learned a lot where that was concerned. Don't forget to drop a like as well. That, of course, helps me win this algorithm battle and get this video pushed out to more people that would enjoy it like yourselves. So listen, this is the first 5 Crucial Questions episode this year, and I'm definitely planning on having other guests working on that, but I would love your feedback and input on who you'd like to see as a guest. Also, do yourselves a favor, check out a few other episodes. This is episode 31, and I promise within that arc of episodes, there's at least 1 or 2 more people you probably enjoy hearing from as well. Remember, follow me on all of my socials. I'll leave them here, and everywhere, so that way you can keep up to date with everything that we've got new dropping on the channel, as well as some other bits of content that I lay in there. And please do consider becoming a member, because not only are we going to have more content there, exclusive content, but also you'll get access to videos just like this one earlier than the rest of the public, okay? So perks, more perks. And on that note, check another interview and video that you're going to enjoy over here. Be sure to click that notification bell as well so you'll know when we drop the very next video on this channel. And I've definitely got to say thanks once again to Mr. Mark Dacascos for being a part of this video.
Aloha, I'm Mark Dacascos, and thank you for watching Kung Fu Chronicles.
Stay safe, see you all in the next round, and keep punching.